Shalom, family. Sorry I was delayed, talking to family over my aunt. So, I'm having a sale that's going to start Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's going to be 3 days. And I'm putting out a new product. This one is Shebe Growth Butter, and it's 45% off. So, this will begin Friday and end on, which is the 24th, and end on the 27th. And I have to say, this smells so good. It smells so good. All right. All right. So we're going to talk about, Vivek Ramaswamy is running for governor of Ohio. And he's back at talking crap about us because, see, he think this is going to increase his MAGA vote, and he doesn't realize those folks don't even like him. It doesn't matter that, I guess he think it's good that he's anything other than us. And being an East Indian, that's not a plus, Vivek. You're darker than many of our people, because you're under that same caste system, that your family comes out of. So I know it's really deeply embedded in you to not like us, but spending your time trying to drag us and talk all kinds of crap. So he's back on that. We were better off under Jim Crow. And what you don't realize, if we were still in Jim Crow, not one of you East Indians would be over here. They would never be embracing any of you. In fact, y'all, if you go look at the history, the East Indians, and this is why a lot of our people don't warm up to them at all. They tried to join the Klan, but the Klan would not accept them. But they tried to. So they came here with all that anti-black sentiments, and they really thought they were going to be part of the Klan, and the Klan would not embrace them. And they're never going to embrace them because, they use these East Indians for a lot of the high tech jobs that are out here. And you got to watch a lot of them, y'all. One thing I noticed in my life, whenever they talk up a group of people, always go and look at that group. There's a lot of education scams going on in India. They do the fake degrees, they do the fake doctor credentials, they do all the fake engineering degrees and stuff. So, a lot of times, what you're looking at ain't what you think, you know? And, just like you see a lot of the scamming among the Nigerian, they do the exact same thing. It's a lot of them coming over here with fake stuff. But because this government don't thoroughly check them like they do us, they can slip through the cracks and get into these high tech companies, and technically they really don't belong there. So when he tries to talk up his, people and everything, it's like, oh, Vivek, I take it with a grain of salt. Because I know when it comes down to degrees, y'all are a bunch of cheats and fakers and scammers too. So, y'all, let's get into it. He's back to we were better off under Jim Crow. I don't know why you're so worried about us. And by the way, those MAGAs don't like you. Look what happened when you tried to speak at Turning Point USA. They damn near threw you out of that building. But he just keeps doing this because he think it's appealing to white voters, and it really isn't. They just find him amusing. Plus, they like all that anti-black stuff that he says all the time. But at the end of the day, they won't vote for him. They won't. It's just like what Ann Coulter said. Oh, she likes what he says. She likes how he thinks, but she would never vote for him because he's Indian. And that's exactly what it's going to be like when it comes down to MAGA. All right, y'all. Let me share my screen. Okay. And I don't know why he's worried about us so much, you know. And another thing they get mad at, because see, in this country, because of the kind of history it has, really there is no other group that's going to be spoken about more than the two groups that were the most prevalent in the beginning of this country, and that is white people and what they call black people. All of the rest of y'all, they really don't care about. They really don't. When they talk about taking the country back, what they're talking about is taking it back to a time when in this country it was predominantly white, black, and these fake Siberian natives. And all of the rest of you, they don't care. See, that's why ICE is deporting you out of here. Y'all think you're relevant, but you're really not. You're really not. I even heard today on another video, I forgot whose live it was. And this Nigerian man is sitting out there talking about, they like us better than they like you. And I said, see, when you make a comment like that, it tells me you don't know the real climate of America. They do not like you better. They will never like nothing dark and melanated better. Okay, but the fact that y'all let that fly out of your mouth tells me you haven't learned a thing since you've been on this soil. I'm just saying. So yes, Vivek race baits because he's trying to attract MAGA voters at all cost. And he did the same thing when he was running for president. And you see how that turned out for him. Hell, his ass even got thrown out of Doge before they even got started. All right. Thank you for the ones.
Former presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy just said that Black people had it better in the 1960s during Jim Crow than they do now. This is a talking point amongst conservative content creators like the late Charlie Kirk. They claim that Black people had stronger community values and family structures during this time. And they never seem to mention the reason why they probably had that were probably because of periodic lynchings and racial terror. After slavery, all the way to the mid 1900s, there were thousands of lynchings across America. These victims were tortured, burned alive, had their bodies mutilated, and they used to have picnics around it. There was the Tulsa Race Massacre in 1921 that conservative commentators are trying to say never happened. And Vivek, you saying this about Black people being better off in the 1960s, you are also trying to erase that history. Or Emmett Till, a child who was killed for supposedly flirting with a white woman, which was proven to be a lie. Or the Birmingham church explosions that were done by the Ku Klux Klan that unalived 4 little Black girls. But yeah, Black people had it better off, right, Vivek? And the way that they made segregation still legal was through voter suppression, poll taxes, literacy tests, intimidation. History doesn't always repeat itself, but it sure does rhyme sometimes. Separate and unequal education. Black schools got dramatically less funding than white schools did, and they still do. Segregated public.
Y'all, I just want to give you a little trivia about my aunt that passed. My aunt was a phenomenal woman. And I wish I had her flyer. I think I do. I just got to download it so you can see what she looked like. She was a phenomenal woman. My aunt actually went up, and this was like back in, I think, like the early 60s. And she demanded that the Black children get school books, because every year they would start the school year sometimes with no books at all. So this was down south in Georgia. She confronted them about that, on why the Black children had no books. Do you know they almost jumped my aunt? These white folks down in Georgia almost jumped my aunt for complaining about that. She almost got jumped. So, look, those are the real heroes to me. You know, the ones that put it out there and risked everything and could have easily lost their life, but just her doing that one act, she got threatened, and they threatened to beat her up over that. You know, maybe tomorrow I will download her. They got her funeral program together, and I'll show you what she looks like. And I know some of the stories about her because she was down there in Jim Crow South. And believe it or not, my aunt was quite the activist back then. She fought hard, especially for Black children in the South. And she endured a lot of threats over that. So it just reminds me, you know, when he's talking about certain things, you know, many of us got warriors like that in our families, but they are unknown. And I know I'm not the only one. I know many of you got warriors in your family too, you know, and these are the unknown stories that are really still important to us, you know, just like I know within your family, the people that stood up and fought, those people are important to us. You know, we have a real history to reflect on. So when Vivek sit there and talk so recklessly, he didn't live through shit. His family came to an already built country. He didn't do crap. Our people were the real building blocks of this country. Period. But let's go on.
Public life, separate schools, hospitals, buses, trains, restaurants, water fountains, hotels, even cemeteries. And guess which side got the better ones? Black workers often got lower paying jobs, less upward mobility, denied access to certain professions. And if they tried to fight against any of these equalities, they would be lynched or have their lives taken away. But yeah, tell us how their lives were better.
Some people get a microphone and immediately forget who they're talking to. Vivek Ramaswamy, come to the front of the congregation, beloved. We got to talk about something. Did this man really say that Black people were better off during Jim Crow? Sir, the audacity on you is built like a dollar store Wi-Fi signal. Strong enough to make noise, not strong enough to carry facts. You know what amazes me? The people who never had to survive our experience are always the first ones volunteering to rewrite it. Why do politicians think that they can explain Black history better than the people who actually lived said history? Jim Crow was not the good old days. It was legalized discrimination. People were denied jobs, schools, housing, voting rights, just basic decency and dignity. That's not freedom. That's oppression with paperwork. And when somebody like Vivek Ramaswamy tells you that oppression ain't that bad, they're not teaching history. They're asking you to lower your standards for how people deserve to be treated. Vivek, if you want to debate affirmative action, debate the policy. That's fair game. But don't you dare tell Black Americans we were better off when the government was literally treating us like second-class citizens. And you got some nerve, because I know you've had some affirmative action help you out too, sir. See, history does not become less ugly because somebody says it into a podcast microphone. Stop letting people rewrite our history to fit their politics.
Do you think Juneteenth is a useless holiday?
I basically do.
Single day voting on election day. We will make election day a holiday in the United States of America, so there's no complaints about it. Cancel Juneteenth or one of the other useless ones we made up. Okay? We can't have like everything be a holiday.
On all of the holidays that we have in America, because we got a lot of them, Juneteenth is the useless one. Oh, but wait a minute. That's not it. He's going to explain a little bit further.
Cancel Juneteenth or whatever other useless holidays. Do you think Juneteenth is a useless holiday?
I basically do.
Do you think Memorial Day, Veterans Day are useless holidays?
I don't, because I stand with the presumption of time-tested traditions. Like I said, religion is, I call these things cults. I won't dignify them as religious because religions have withstood the test of time. And so I think that if we made a national commemorative holiday for everything that's important that happened in our history, we'd have no working days left. But I think the spirit of Juneteenth, we already channel into other holidays, like Martin Luther King Day, like President's Day. I think we can commemorate the spirit of that holiday separately. So I think that we shouldn't have redundant holidays that celebrate overlapping purposes. It should have a distinct purpose. And I think, let's be honest, the reason for making that a holiday was under political duress. It was a political hostage situation on the back of the death of George Floyd.
Okay, so Memorial Day, cool. Veterans Day, cool. But Juneteenth, we got to draw the line there. This is a prime example of exactly what the fuck we be talking about when we say that immigrants come over here and try to undermine everything that Black Americans do. Anything that's for Black Americans, they just try to shut it the fuck down. I'm gonna just let you take a wild guess as to why you think that he's doing that. He's a Republican politician. Pretty sure he has an immigrant background. He was born in the United States, but I'm pretty sure that he has immigrant parents. I noticed that he said that Juneteenth and Martin Luther King Day are like overlapping purposes. So, I mean, what does that mean? What is meant to celebrate something Black? Juneteenth is celebrating the freedmen, the slaves being given the knowledge that they were free, right? Because that's important. Yeah, you could free the slaves, but if they don't know they're free, then they're still going to be in bondage. So it's very important. It's a freedom holiday. Martin Luther King Day is celebrating Martin Luther King, right? That's just two different, unless you just see everything that has to do with Black people is all the same thing. But no, Juneteenth is not a useless holiday. It is a freedom holiday. It's just as important as July 4th. It's important to us, to the freedmen, the descendants of the freedmen, the ADOS, foundationally Black Americans, whatever we want to call ourselves. It is a very important celebration of the people who are responsible for building the nation for 400 years, hundreds and hundreds of years, free labor, and got absolutely nothing in return for it. At the very least, we could get a holiday to celebrate those people. But I guess even that's just doing a little bit too much. But anyways, happy Juneteenth.
Good afternoon, everybody. I got some stuff to say today. Vivek Ramaswamy. You know, I noticed about you that you try to align with white supremacy, and Black people seem to be your talking points always, right? So you like to take people back to Jim Crow. You like to say that Black Americans had incentives to, have single parent homes because of handouts. But what you don't say is that the separation of families started in slavery. They would take the fathers and sell them off to other people. They would take children. Also, when women were pregnant, they would take children from the mothers and sell them off. Not to mention the fact that they would take our children and use them for alligator bait. Yeah, a lot of our children were fed to alligators. Mm-hmm. And also, what you don't mention, because you like to, leave out very important parts that when you speak on Black America, because you don't mention that we had our own towns. We had Seneca Valley, we had North Carolina, Black Wall Streets. We had towns. And what did the Caucasians do? They bombed or burned or flooded them. See, when you talk about Black America, you act like we just went from slavery to welfare. When in fact, welfare was not created for Black families. Black families didn't start getting welfare until the 70s or the 80s. Welfare was created for white folks. So was housing, Section 8. Yep, it most certainly was. See, you seem to leave out a lot of context when you talk about Black families. I know you want to be governor really bad. Even the white folks don't like you. That's something. And you really think because were, Donald Trump gave you his blessing, you seem to think that you have a shoe in. Because see, if it wasn't for the work that the Black community put in, your father, your mother, or your children wouldn't have been able to come to this country. But you, with your little ugly self, see, you talk fast. You talk fast. And see, people allow you to talk fast, but you're really not saying anything. So when you talk about Black America, you forget that the people that get, government handouts the most are people like you and the Europeans. Yep. Not only that, you don't mention the fact that in this country currently, Black women hold the highest degrees. So it's not like Black women were sitting at home just collecting welfare. I'm not saying that there aren't. It's about 18 to 20% of Black Americans that get government assistance. 18 to 20%. 70% of the fathers are in the home. 70%. And, the ones that aren't in the home, I think it's 60%, 60 or 65% of the fathers that aren't in the homes are very active in their children's lives. Yeah. See, you don't talk about this because, you need to make Black people to be the problem in this country. You just For some reason, why is it that, you people come over here and automatically assimilate to whiteness when actually neither black nor white are actually races? We're brown people. Those are Europeans, the people that you are kissing up to, because you did a lot of ass kissing and a lot of fast talking. But I caught every word of what you said. And you are a liar. Because let's face it, you came from us. See, y'all like to say, I'm not black, I'm Indian. But you came from us. Because without black people, there would actually be no other races in this country. You can say what you want to say, because the root starts in Africa. That's where the root comes from. And if it weren't for us, you would not be here. So, when you talk about us, and when you talk about the fathers not being in the home, you need to go way back, because it started way before Jim Crow. See, I know that y'all would like to see us back in the Jim Crow era. But that's where we flourished the best, because you left us alone. See, the Europeans left us alone. And we built. We built. And the people that you kissing up to were jealous, because how could slaves just build and be great? We will always be great. There's toxicity in every community. Indian. Yeah, their business. Didn't the Indian business just get raided for human trafficking, Vivek? Yeah, you did. So, when you go off and you talk about us, just put some respect on it. It's sad that you can't win on your own merits, that you need to scapegoat another group of people to get voted in. That's really, really sad. Being as though you got your money, you scammed people. And you, Vivek, are a scammer. But that's okay. Every mutt has its day. And yours is coming. I just want you to understand that. Yours is coming. And even though I'm not supposed to, glow in your, what's going on, I'm going to be happy for you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Vivek obviously don't learn any lessons. How you doing, Kid Gravity? He obviously don't learn any lesson, because he tried to pull this race thing even during the time he was running for president, and it really imploded on him. If you remember, he came in last place. He couldn't even outperform Nikki Haley, who's another fellow East Indian. He came in last if you go back and look at those results. So even though he was trying to be as racist as possible on the campaign trail, nobody was embracing that from him. And I think those few white people that did show up, they were just amused by him. But they really didn't go out there and voted for him like that. So he did not learn a thing. So he's back on that again. And it's going to implode on him again. It really is. Yeah, they are here in America, but do you ever ask yourself why, if they are so smart and so high tech, why don't they do that in India? Why do they have to cross the ocean and come here in order to be in high tech? They're another one that got a slummy country and they're not doing anything about their slummy country. Everybody's leaving to come over here. It really is no different from what any other immigrant does. It's really not different at all, you know? But Vivek really need to stop talking about our history because number one, it has nothing to do with him. And number two, him and his people have not even accomplished a fraction of what our people did over here in this land. His Indian family did not do anything that even closely matched all of the struggles our people went through. He's full of crap. That's what he really truly is. Let's see. Chat. Where's my new tab? Here she is. Y'all, I'm going to put my aunt that just passed on the screen. This is her. Lovey Irene Hunter. She was from the South. You got them Southern names, Lovey. And like I said, in her day, she was quite the activist in the family. She was married to my mother's oldest brother. And she was just a few months away from being 92 years old. And she comes out of Tifton, Georgia. That's where her family comes from. And for a while, the family lived down in Georgia. And, just like I was telling y'all before, every school year, the Black children would be without books. So she went and confronted the Board of Education, which was, although the school district was Black, the whole Board of Education were white people. And she went and confronted them about why the Black children never had books. And she went down there demanding that they give books to Black children. She had her life threatened. They almost came very close to beating her up just for going down and asking for books for Black children. That's all it took. And she really was one of those people. She didn't just talk a good game, she really did a lot. I remember, like, during the 70s and 80s, she would take in single mothers with children that were out here struggling. And she would take them into her home and let them stay until they were able to find work and get on their feet. She did that for several of them. So she wasn't just all about lip service. She really did fight hard to help people. Now, my uncle was a pastor, and they had 3 homes that belonged to the church. One of those homes, she would always let someone that was homeless and struggling stay in one of the 3 homes. She did this all throughout the time my uncle was preaching at St. Philip's Baptist Church. He was the minister over there for 31 years. And she would always let someone homeless stay in one of the 3 homes that belonged to the church. So this woman was not just about lip service. She went out there and did something about bad situations that she would see. She was really a powerhouse in the family, and she will be missed. This is definitely a void in my family. So this is my Aunt Irene, my beloved Aunt Irene, and I will never forget her. When my mother passed, this woman came to my house every single day to help me with the funeral because she didn't want me to do it by myself. She wanted to help. And she was there with me every single day up until the day of my mother's funeral to just be there to help and just allowing me to lean on her shoulders when I felt weak. This woman was there. She was there. So it will always be a void in my heart for her. So Natel 843, thank you for the 30 gems. I deeply appreciate your support for my channel. Zachariah Williams, thank you for the super sticker and thank you for supporting my channel. I deeply appreciate it. So, y'all, I'm going to go ahead and conclude. And Vivek, I surely hope you lose the governor race in Ohio. Because I really don't think you got MAGA in your pocket like that. I really don't think you do. That's why they steamrolled your butt at that Turning Point USA event that you spoke at. Those folks practically called you the N-word that day. So I just pray that you will be conceding because you will lose that governor's race. So y'all have a wonderful night. And Zachariah Williams, thank you again for another super chat and your support for my channel. Have a wonderful night and be on the lookout for my upcoming videos. And don't forget to pick up your hair products. Shalom, family.